I spent 80,000 yuan hiring a fake girlfriend for Lunar New Year. I even told my parents she was an architectural designer. But the moment she stepped through my front door, she froze where she stood. She stared toward the living room sofa, at the man sitting across from my father, drinking tea. The smile vanished from her face. "Dad, what are you doing here?" My parents stared at me, dumbstruck. Her father stared at her, just as stunned. My mind exploded on the spot. Lunar New Year came every year. But for me, every year was an uphill battle. Starting in the 12th lunar month, the calls from home never stopped. "Yang, are you bringing a girlfriend home this year or not? Listen to your mother. If you come back alone again, don't make me beg you." On the other end of the line, my mother's voice was sharp and frantic. Even through the receiver, I could feel her blood pressure soaring. "My name is Zhang. I was 32. I worked as a product director at an internet company in Pengcheng. My annual salary was 1.2 million yuan. I had a car and an apartment. On paper, my resume looked perfectly respectable. But in my mother's eyes, all of that counted for nothing. Without a wife, no number of zeros in front of it meant anything. "Mom, I'm busy. My project is rushing toward launch." "Busy? Only you are busy." Back when your father ran construction sites, hundreds of workers were waiting for him to pay their wages. He still managed to have you, didn't he? Look at your cousin Zhang. His child is already in elementary school. And Zhang Yao from your eldest paternal aunt's family. She is already pregnant with her second child. Then there is you, 32 years old, not even the shadow of a girlfriend. Every word was like a nail, hammered one by one into my skull. I leaned back in my office chair, looking out at the lights of Pengcheng. All at once, I felt exhausted. Not the kind of tired that comes from work. It was the kind that comes after being nagged numb, then nagged all over again. After 20 seconds of silence, I opened my mouth. "This year, I'll bring a girlfriend home." "Really?" My mother's voice shot up an octave. "Don't lie to me again. You said that last year too. Then you brought home a male coworker. You nearly sent your father to the hospital. This time it's real. Her name is Zhou. She is an architectural designer. She works at a design institute in Pengcheng. She is gentle, highly educated, and beautiful too." My mother said nothing, but I could imagine her covering her mouth on the other end, her eyes turning red. One hand was already reaching for the phone beside her, ready to tell the whole village. "A designer. What kind of degree does she have?" "A master's degree. From a top university." Oh my, good heavens. Then I heard slippers pattering on the floor on the other end. Then came my father's voice. "What's wrong? Are you arguing with Yang again?" "Arguing? As if your son has a girlfriend, a designer, a master's graduate." I hung up, facing the empty office. My fingers started typing on the keyboard. "Reliable girlfriend rental for Lunar New Year in Pengcheng." A long list of search results popped up. I checked 7 or 8 platforms. In the end, I chose a company called Yuan Companions. The page was clean. The reviews had none of that shady nonsense. The customer service script sounded professional too. They asked in detail, age requirements, appearance preferences, personality type, the situation with my relatives, and any taboos my parents had. I answered every question one by one. Finally, customer service sent me for candidates. When I reached the third one, I stopped. The girl in the photo wore a white turtleneck sweater. Her hair was loosely pinned behind her head. Her features were not stunning at first glance, but they drew the eye. Her smile looked clear and unguarded. Zhou, 27 years old, master's degree, currently an administrative assistant at a design company. Not a designer, but close enough to the design field. Enough to fool my mother. 80,000 yuan. From the 29th day of the 12th lunar month to the 6th day of the 1st lunar month. 8 days. I split the payment in two. First, I transferred a 40,000 yuan deposit. It was not cheap, but if it could buy me one peaceful Lunar New Year, without 12 relatives taking turns interrogating me about why I was not married, it was worth it. We arranged to meet at a cafe in Pengcheng's Nanshan district. I arrived early. I chose a corner seat and sat down. 10 minutes later, the door opened. A girl in a camel-colored coat walked in. She was tall and slender. Her stride was steady, calm and unhurried. Every step felt measured. I did not need to confirm it. This was Zhou. She glanced around the cafe, recognized me, walked straight over. "Mr. Zhang, I am Zhou. Hello. Have a seat." She sat down. There was no unnecessary small talk. She took a notebook straight from her bag. Customer service has passed your requirements to me. I will confirm a few details first. I nodded. Are your parents more conservative or open-minded? More conservative. What are their non-negotiable standards for a future daughter-in-law? Highly educated. A respectable job. A gentle personality. And preferably not too opinionated. She lifted her eyes slightly. She said nothing. Then she lowered her head and wrote 5 words in her notebook. Speak less. Smile more. Do you have many relatives? Anyone especially nosy? My eldest paternal aunt. She interrogates people like a prosecutor. My cousin Zhang. She loves comparisons. She has to measure everything against someone else. Understood. She kept writing. Your father's hobbies? Chess. Smoking. Watching the evening news. And your mother? Cooking. Playing mahjong. Sharing wellness articles in the family group chat. Her pen never stopped. Mr. Zhang. To make the performance feel more real, I need to know your romantic history. How many ex-girlfriends have you had? How did you break up? How much do your parents know? I paused. No ex-girlfriends. Not a single one. I have been on plenty of blind dates, but I had never seriously dated anyone. She raised an eyebrow. She made no comment. That makes things easier. Your parents know almost nothing about your romantic life. I wouldn't need to compare her against any ex. This girl spoke very directly. Her logic was so clear, it sounded like a project briefing. Oddly, that made me feel steadier. Over the next hour and a half, I poured out every bit of family information I could think of. My father used to run a construction engineering company back home. Later, he semi-retired. He handed the company over to his partner to manage. My mother was a homemaker, born to worry about everything. My hometown was Kingstown. It was still a 40-minute drive from the nearest high-speed rail station. During Lunar New Year, relatives would come by in waves. Their questions basically focused on 3 things: how much I earned, when I was getting married, and when I was having children. Linzu wrote it all down. Finally, we signed the contract. Everything was there in black and white. Rights, obligations, breach penalties, all written out clearly. Linzu, there is one thing I need to make clear. Go ahead. I told my parents you're an architectural designer, not an administrative assistant. If someone asks you something professional, then you need to be able to handle it. She looked up. She watched me for 2 seconds. No problem. I will prepare in advance. Do you need me to find you some architecture materials? Basic ones. Nothing too deep. Just enough jargon to bluff your way through. She closed her notebook. Then she stood up. No need, Mr. Zhang. When it comes to architecture, I know a little. After she left, I stayed sitting where I was. I stared at the empty latte cup she had left on the table. 80,000 yuan for 8 days. After Lunar New Year, we would go our separate ways. Simple. Clean. No consequences. At least, that was what I thought at the time. The week before we left, Linzu and I had video calls for more than 40 minutes every day. Her preparation went far beyond my expectations. Mr. Zhang, your father used to work in construction engineering. What if he asked me about structural design? He won't. My father handled construction execution. He doesn't understand design. But what if he does? I thought for a moment. Then say you mainly do concept design. You don't handle structures. She nodded. Then she tossed out a question about your family. When was that 2-story house built? Is it a brick concrete structure or a frame structure? How did you know my family has a 2-story house? You mentioned it briefly last time. I thought back. I did seem to have said it in passing, but it had only been 1 sentence. Yet she had remembered it. Over the next few days, each time, she could throw out details I never would have thought of at all. How old was my uncle's child? Did my mother's cooking lean salty or mild? What was the name of the lane by my house? Did we set off firecrackers during Lunar New Year? The more we talked, the more I felt this girl was no ordinary person. She was not someone who just read from a script. She was building an entire, internally consistent persona named Linzu, 27 years old, working in architectural design in Pengcheng, dating Zhang Yang for 8 months. They had met at an industry networking event. We had made up that backstory together, but she added many details I had never considered. Where our first date was, what dishes she had ordered, what I had been wearing. If it sounds too perfect, it feels fake. She said, there need to be little conflicts, small differences. That is what makes you seem like a real couple. Such as, for example, I complain that you never tidy your place, and you complain that I sleep in on weekends. Say small things like that, and your mother will believe it more. I looked at her on the screen. I had nothing to say. 80,000 yuan really was not expensive. On the day we left, I went to the high-speed rail station to pick her up. She wore the burgundy coat I had bought for her earlier. Her hair was tied in a low ponytail. She had light makeup on. She looked intelligent, graceful, and composed. Exactly what a designer girlfriend should look like. Once we boarded the high-speed train, she sat by the window. She took out her phone and scrolled through the family photos I had sent her before. Your second paternal uncle is Zhang Jianmin, right? He runs a hardware business. Yes. What is his wife's name? Zhang Weihua. Their daughter just got into university this year, didn't she? You even know that. Last time, you said your second paternal uncle had been in a good mood lately. I guessed he had either made money, or his child had done well. Then you said his business was only average. So I bet on the latter. I froze. This girl's powers of observation and deduction could no longer be summed up as simple diligence. During the 6-hour ride, we went through every detail again. With her eyes closed, she recited all of my family's relatives' names and relationships. Not one mistake. When the high-speed train pulled into the station, she opened her eyes and looked at me. Mr. Zhang. From now on, I will call you Zhang Yang. You call me Xiaoshu. All right. One more thing. What? When you hold my hand, do not hold it like a door handle. Act natural. After we got off the train, I saw my mother from far away, looking around at the exit. My father stood beside her. So, did my eldest paternal aunt and second paternal uncle. I squeezed Lin Zhu's hand. She immediately squeezed back, with exactly the right pressure. Mom. Dad. My mother rushed over and wrapped me in a hug. Her eyes were already red. It is good that you are home. She let me go. Her gaze locked straight onto Lin Zhu. She looked her up and down 3 times. So this is Xiaoshu. Lin Zhu lowered her head slightly. She smiled. Hello, Annie. Hello, Uncle. Her voice was gentle, perfectly measured. My mother grabbed her hand right away. She could not stop smiling. Oh my. You are even prettier than in the photos. Such a fresh, lovely girl. Yang. No. Yang has finally come to his senses. My eldest paternal aunt also leaned in to look. She kept saying Lin Zhu was pretty and sensible. My father was not good with words, but he took Lin Zhu's suitcase from her without being asked. His face showed happiness he could not hide. I breathed a sigh of relief. The first hurdle was cleared. On the way home, my mother sat in the front passenger seat. She kept twisting back to talk to Lin Zhu. Lin Zhu handled it flawlessly. Whatever my mother asked, she answered. She even praised my mother's skin, then said she looked 45 at most. My mother was so delighted she kept slapping her thigh. The car pulled up outside our house. Red lanterns hung from our 2-story family house. Paper window cutouts were pasted on the windows. A black Audi A6 was parked out front. It was not our car. My mother pushed the door open. She turned back and called, Xiaoshu, come in quickly. It is cold outside. Lin Zhu followed behind me. She stepped over the threshold. Then she stopped. Her whole body froze right there in the entryway. A man was sitting on the living room sofa. He was in his 50s. He wore a dark gray cashmere sweater. He was holding a teacup, wrestling with the tea set my father had left out. Lin Zhu's face went pale at once. Dad. Her voice was very soft, but everyone in the living room heard it. Why are you here? The air in the living room shifted instantly. My mother thought Lin Zhu was calling my father Dad. Xiaoshu is such a good girl. Calling him Dad the moment you walk in. My mother clapped her hands. She was grinning so hard her eyes disappeared. But I saw it clearly. Lin Zhu's eyes were not fixed on my father. They were fixed on the man on the sofa holding the teacup. That man was looking at Lin Zhu too. The teacup in his hand paused. Then he set it down. Xiaoshu, you are here. When he said those words, his tone was flat, even a little stiff. It did not sound like polite small talk between strangers. It was more like the awkward restraint of meeting again after a long time apart. My mind spun fast. Lin Zhu had called him Dad, and this man had called her Xiaoshu. This was her actual father. My mother was still excitedly fussing over slippers. She had not noticed anything wrong at all. Old Zhang. Pour Xiaoshu a cup of hot water. That train ride must have been exhausting. My father poked his head out of the kitchen. He smiled and said, The water's ready. I will bring it right over. Lin Zhu stood there without moving. Her expression had returned to normal. If you did not count the hand gripping my sleeve, that hand was trembling. Come outside with me for a moment. She turned her head slightly. Her voice dropped low. Her lips barely moved. Yang, help me with my luggage. I will go check the room first. Her voice was not loud when she said it, but my mother had sharp ears. No rush, no rush. I will take you. You and Yang will stay here together. Mom, I can handle it myself. You go look after the guests. I picked up the suitcase. Then I followed Linzhu upstairs. We entered the guest room my mother had prepared in advance. The moment the door closed, Linzhu grabbed my arm. Who invited that man here? I do not know. I have never seen him before. You know him. That is my father. Your biological father? Yes. I stared at her for 3 seconds. I made sure she was not joking. Why is your father in my house? How would I know? Her voice trembled slightly. I have not contacted him in 3 years. 3 years. We had a falling out. I do not want to talk about the reason right now. Zhang, tell me the truth. Did you already know my father? I swear, I have never seen that man before. She stared into my eyes for 5 seconds. Then she let go. Then it is a coincidence. She turned around. She braced herself against the bedside table. It took her a few seconds to steady herself. Your father used to work in construction engineering. Yes. Zhang Jianhua from Kingtown. I nodded. She closed her eyes for a moment. My father's name is Deming. He worked on the same construction site as your father 20 years ago. Later, they each went their own way. But they stayed in touch. Damn. The word jumped out of my mouth. I did not even realize it in time. Her father and my father were old friends. She had come to my house to pretend to be my girlfriend, and her actual father was sitting in my living room drinking tea. If her father found out I had hired her for 80,000 yuan, he cannot know. Linzhu seemed to see right through me. If he finds out, it is all over. You will not be the only one humiliated. I will be finished too. He already looks down on what I am doing now. Then, what do? We keep things steady for now. She lifted her head. She took a deep breath. No, she only raised her chin, as if she were bracing herself. My relationship with him is terrible. He will not expose me in front of your parents. He cares too much about saving face. Are you sure? But right now, there is no other way. She opened her suitcase. She took out her makeup bag, then touched up her makeup in the mirror. When she turned back around, that professional, gentle smile was back on her face. Let us go. Zhang, your fake girlfriend has to go downstairs and perform. I followed her downstairs. In the living room, my father and Deming were sitting together, drinking tea. They were chatting about something. My mother was busy in the kitchen. My eldest paternal aunt stood nearby, cracking sunflower seeds. When she saw us come down, her eyes lit up. Hey, what were you two whispering about upstairs? You did not even close the door for your little private talk. Eldest aunt, we were unpacking the luggage. I laughed it off. Linzhu walked straight to the sofa. She sat down across from Deming. Father and daughter looked at each other. Deming lifted his teacup. He took a sip. Linzhu said nothing either. But there was something in that silence, more uncomfortable than an argument. Xiaoshu, here, have some hot water. My father came over with the cup. Smiling, he handed it to Linzhu. Thank you, uncle. Why are you calling him uncle? Call him dad. My mother poked her head out of the kitchen. Linzhu froze for half a second. Deming set down his teacup. Annie, Linzhu said with a smile. This is only my first visit. We should take it slowly. My mother smiled and shook her head. This girl, she is shy. The crisis passed for the moment, but I noticed Deming kept looking at Linzhu. It was not the way you look at a friend's son's girlfriend. It was a father looking at his own daughter. His expression was complicated. There was surprise. There was tension. And there was something I could not quite name. It looked like heartache, and like he was holding something back. Dinner was my mother's full arsenal. The table was packed with dishes: braised pork hock, steamed sea bass, garlic shrimp, sweet and sour pork ribs. She even set out for cold appetizers. There were plenty of people too. My father, my mother, my eldest paternal aunt, my second paternal uncle and second aunt, my cousin Zhang lay with his wife and child, and Deming. The whole family sat in a circle around the round table. Linzhu was seated beside me. Deming sat across from us. That seating arrangement kept cold sweat running down my back. Yang, where is Xiaoshu from? My eldest paternal aunt opened fire first. She is local to Pengcheng. I rushed to answer. What do her parents do? My father is in business. My mother is retired. Linzhu took over. Her tone was perfectly natural. Deming picked up a piece of pork rib with his chopsticks. He did not look up. What kind of business? My eldest paternal aunt pressed on. Building materials. Zhou said. I noticed Deming's chopsticks paused midair. Building materials. He had indeed worked in building materials before, but Zhou clearly did not want to go into detail. She brushed past it. My eldest paternal aunt wanted to ask more. My mother cut her off. Eat. Why ask so many questions? Xiaoshu. Eat more. Try this sea bass. Your uncle picked it himself from the town fish bin this morning. Zhou picked up a piece of fish. She ate it with real care. Then she said to my mother, Annie, your sea bass is steamed perfectly. The flesh is tender but does not fall apart, and the ginger shreds are just right. My mother's face flushed from the praise. You sweet child. What a silver tongue. My cousin Zhang chimed in from the side. Future sister-in-law. You're so good with words. She must not be in engineering, right? She is an architectural designer. I said, a designer. My second paternal uncle set down his wine glass. Then you people in design. You draw plans all day, right? Yes. At the concept design stage, we mainly create concept drawings and renderings. By the construction drawing stage, it gets much more detailed. Zhou answered without rushing. I secretly glanced at her. Those words came to smoothly. They did not sound memorized on the spot. So, have you worked on any projects? My second paternal uncle was interested now. I participated in the preliminary design of several commercial complexes. Big projects, then. My second paternal uncle gave her a thumbs up. Deming never said a word. He was eating, but his gaze drifted toward Zhou every few seconds. The dinner table was lively. Everyone praised Zhou for being sensible, gracious, well-educated, and fine-looking too. My mother looked ready to drag me straight off to get married on the spot. Jianhua, this future daughter-in-law of yours is flawless. My eldest paternal aunt gave my father a thumbs up. My father smiled in his simple, honest way. Deming set down his chopsticks. Brother Jianhua, this girl really is good. His voice was not loud, but everyone at the table heard him. They all echoed their agreement. Only Zhou and I knew how many layers that sentence carried. After several rounds of drinks, the relatives left one after another. Deming stood up. He said he should leave too. My father held his arm. Old Lin. Come again on the second day of Lunar New Year. We brothers have not talked enough yet. All right. Deming walked toward the door. When he passed Zhou, he paused. Take care. Just those two words. After saying them, he pushed the door open and left. Zhou stood where she was. She stared at that door for a long time. Xiaoshu, what is wrong? My mother walked over. Nothing, Annie. I am just a little tired. Then go rest. Yang. Walk Xiaoshu upstairs. I walked her to the guest room door. I hesitated. Zhou, about what happened today. I will handle it. She did not look at me. She pushed open the door and went in. The door closed in front of me. I stood in the hallway. Suddenly I felt this was far more complicated than I had imagined. Yang. My father's voice came from downstairs. Come down. Dad wants a word with you. My father was sitting on the sofa. The tea on the table was still steaming. Sit. I sat down. How long have you and Xiaoshu been together? 8 months. My father looked at me. For a long while. He said nothing. Old Ling came to our house today because he wanted to discuss something with me. What was it? He wanted to find someone for his daughter. My head buzzed. He said his daughter had been struggling out there for years. She is 27 and still has not dated anyone. He was worried. He wanted me to keep an eye out to see if there were any suitable young men around here. My mouth opened, then closed again. And then there you were. You brought a girlfriend home. So old Lin did not say much more. My father sighed. Yang, let me ask you one thing. Answer me seriously. Go ahead. Are you serious about her? I knew what he was asking. I looked into his eyes. Those eyes had spent years under wind and sun on construction sites, and were lined with fine wrinkles. There was hope in them, and a cautious fear of being fooled. Dad, I am serious. He nodded. He did not press further. That is good. Xiaoshu, that girl. I like the look of her. Dad, that Uncle Lin. Old Lin? My old comrade. No, my old workmate. We met on a construction site in the south more than 20 years ago. Back then, we were both young hotheads. We carried steel bars together, slept in workers' sheds together. Later, I came back to King and opened an engineering company. He went to Pengcheng to run a building materials business. We have kept in touch all these years. but we rarely meet. This time, he said he was free before the first lunar month, so I invited him over for a visit. You are very close to him? A life and death friendship. My father took a sip of tea. There was an accident on the construction site back then. A cement slab fell from the 3rd floor. Old Lin was the one who shoved me out of the way. His own right leg was injured. It left him with an old injury. Even now, it aches on damp days. My hand tightened around the fabric over my knee. A life and death friendship. His daughter was upstairs pretending to be my girlfriend, and I had only learned his surname today. My mother came out of the kitchen. She had not even taken off her apron. What are you talking about? Zhao situation. Stay out of it. My father waved her off. Why should I stay out of it? I am telling you, a girl like Xiaoshu, you have to hold on to her. For your son to find someone like her, he must have done something right in a past life. Mom, enough. I know. When you go back, treat her well. For tonight, get a good sleep. Tomorrow morning, on the first day of Lunar New Year, we will visit your grandfather and grandmother for New Year greetings. Xiaoshu is going to. Your grandfather talks about your marriage the most. If he sees Xiaoshu, he will be thrilled for sure. Got it. Back in my room. I locked the door. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the ceiling. 80,000 Yuan. A fake girlfriend. And her father turned out to be my father's life and death brother. This Lunar New Year. Could it possibly go on in peace? My phone buzzed. Lin Zhou messaged me. He will come again on the 2nd day of Lunar New Year. We need to get our story straight in advance. Meet me in the courtyard at 7:30 tomorrow morning. I replied, all right. Another minute passed. Then she sent another message. Thanks for today. You did not panic on the spot. That was steady enough. I looked at the message. I could not help a bitter smile. Steady, my ass. My heart still had not slowed down. On the first day of Lunar New Year, the firecrackers in Qingtown started going off at 5:30. When they blasted me awake, it was still dark outside. I stayed in bed for 20 more minutes. Then I got up and washed my face. I went downstairs. The cold wind in the courtyard slipped into my collar. It made me shiver. Lindsay was already standing in the corner of the courtyard. She wore a gray-blue padded coat. Her hair was tied in a low ponytail. She wore no makeup. The cold wind had flushed her face slightly red. You are here. Yes. Let us talk business first. She tucked her hands into her pockets. I thought about it all night. Since my father came, there is no way he will come only once. He will come again on the 2nd day of Lunar New Year. He may even bring gifts. Your mother will ask him to stay for a meal, which means I will have to keep acting in front of him for at least 2 or 3 more days. The reason you fell out with your father. Can you tell me about it? She did not answer right away. Scattered firecrackers sounded in the distance. 3 years ago, I worked at a design institute in Pengcheng. I waited for her to continue. There was a project. I was involved in the core design. I worked on the concept for 8 months. I worked so much overtime I ended up in the hospital. Then, just before the final submission, I discovered my design drafts had been stolen. By whom? The partner I was working with at the time. Her voice was very calm. So calm it did not sound like she was talking about herself. I went to my father for help. I wanted him to step in and negotiate with them. My father knew people in the industry. I thought he would help me. And then, he said I was still young, that I should not go against a big company. Sometimes taking a loss is a blessing. He told me to let it go for the sake of peace. Then, behind my back, he accepted compensation from them. 2 million yuan. It was treated as a buyout of my design. My mouth opened slightly. That same day, I moved out. I changed my phone number. Later, he asked many people to find me. I ignored every one of them. So that is why you started doing this line of work. She finished the sentence for me. Her tone did not waver at all. I needed money. My mother was in poor health. She needed long-term medication. My younger sister was still in her junior year of university. That incident wiped out the savings I had from the design institute. I had no capital to reopen a design practice, so I could only make quick money first. You really were a designer before. I stared at her. Several pieces in my mind suddenly clicked into place. When she answered my second paternal uncle's question about construction drawings, the ease of it had been effortless. On the first day, she could state precisely the structural type of my family's small building, and that look in her eyes when she said she knew a little about architecture. She did not just know a little. She was an expert. Then that means you are. It means I am pretending to have a job I truly used to do. She said. Ironic, right? I did not know what to say. She took her phone from her pocket. She swiped through it, then handed it to me. On the screen was an architectural rendering. A streamlined commercial complex. Its glass curtain wall reflected pale blue light under the sun. I made this. The concept I submitted 3 years ago. Later, it won the bid. And it was built. It is now in Pengsheng's Nanshan district. It is called Lanting Plaza. I had been there. It was one of the most beautiful commercial centers in Nanshan. It had won several design awards. After it was completed, someone else's name was credited. Yes, she took the phone back. Zhang, it is enough that you know about this. In front of your parents. I am still that architectural designer. Once these 8 days are over, we go our separate ways. I take the money. You get your piece. She turned and walked toward the house. After the steps, she stopped again. Your fake girlfriend is going downstairs for glutinous rice balls. Hurry up and follow. Paying New Year visits to my grandfather and grandmother was the main event of the first day of Lunar New Year. My grandfather was 83. He lived in the old family house at the east end of the village. He was still fairly strong. Only his hearing was not very good. My grandmother was 79. Her legs were not very steady. Most days, she sat in the courtyard soaking up the sun. When the 4 of us walked over, my grandfather was already waiting at the gate. He wore a brand new dark blue padded jacket. The moment he saw me, he beamed. Yang is back. Grandfather. I went up and held his arm. My grandfather's eyes went right past me. They landed on Zhou. Is this your girlfriend? She is beautiful. Grandfather gave a thumbs up. His voice was loud enough for half the alley to hear. What is her name? Xiaoshu. Zhou stepped forward. She held grandfather's hands in both of hers. Hello, grandfather. Happy New Year. Good. Come inside. Grandmother was sitting in the main room. When she saw Zhou, her eyes lit up at once. Yang brought home such a pretty girl. Grandmother. Her name is Xiaoshu. She is my girlfriend. Zhou crouched in front of grandmother. She took a red hand warmer from her pocket and handed it over. Grandmother. Hold this to warm your hands. Joints can ache in winter. Keeping them warm should help. I had not prepared that hand warmer. She had brought it herself. Grandmother took it. She held it in her hands. Her smile spread until every wrinkle on her face seemed to soften. This girl, so thoughtful. My mother stood behind us. Her eyes kept turning red. After we finished the New Year greetings, grandfather insisted we stay for snacks. On the table were peanuts, sunflower seeds, red dates, and homemade New Year rice cake. Yang, what work do you do out there again? I work in product, at an internet company. Grandfather did not hear clearly. He turned to ask my father. Internet industry. It means he works with computers. My father shouted at the top of his voice. Grandfather nodded. Then he asked Zhou. Girl, what about you? I work in design. Architectural design. Architecture. Building houses. More or less. The kind where I draw plans. Good. Grandfather slapped his thigh. Same line of work as your father. Your father used to build houses very well. People from all over Kingtown came to him. Zhou smiled. Your father's craftsmanship. I have heard about it. That was a clever thing to say. It showed respect for my father, and it hinted that she and I had been together for a long time. That she knew my family. My mother kept nodding beside us. On the way home, my mother walked ahead, arm in arm with Zhou, as if Zhou were her own daughter. All the way back, she chattered to her about village gossip. My father and I walked behind them. Dad, what do you think of Xiaoshu? My father gave a little chuckle. Do I even need to say it? Your grandfather was already that happy. But there is one thing I should mention. What? Old Lin is coming for dinner on the 2nd day of Lunar New Year. Pay attention. Do not let Xiaoshu overdo it. Old Lin seems easygoing, but his eyes are sharp. He can see through any person, any situation, at a glance. My steps faltered. Do not worry, Dad. I know what I am doing. Like hell I did. Deming was Zhou's biological father. Tomorrow he was coming to dinner. It was like inviting a bomb disposal expert to inspect a bomb already counting down. And I was the one who had wired it. The 2nd day of Lunar New Year was an even bigger production than the first. My mother started bustling around at 6 in the morning. She slaughtered a chicken. She also asked our neighbor Annie Zhou to bring back to live fish from town. Old Lin rarely came by. We had to treat him properly. My father even changed into a new shirt for the occasion. He also opened a bottle of baijiu he had saved for 3 years. At 10 in the morning, Deming arrived right on time. This time, he wore a black jacket. In his hands were the gifts, a box of Tiguanyan tea, and a gift box of nuts. Not expensive, but respectable. Brother Jianhua, sister-in-law. Oh, old Lin, you are here. Come in and sit down. My mother went forward to welcome him warmly. Lindsay stood in the living room. She was holding a glass of water. She did not move. Lin Deming came through the door. He glanced at her. Hello, Uncle Lin. Lindsay's voice was not loud, but it was very steady. Notice that she called him Uncle Lin, not Dad. In front of my parents, she could not call him Dad. Right now, her role was Zhang Yang's girlfriend. In theory, she had nothing to do with Lin Deming. Lin Deming clearly understood that too. He gave a small nod. He walked toward the sofa, then sat down. He started chatting with my father about the weather and tea, about which family in the village had built a new house. Everything looked calm on the surface, but I noticed where Lin Deming was sitting. He was facing the kitchen. Lin Zhou was in the kitchen, helping my mother wash vegetables. Every so often, his gaze drifted that way. At 11:30, my cousin Zhang Yao arrived. She brought her 3-year-old son. The moment she entered, she started calling out, "Oh my, where is Yang Yang's girlfriend? Let me have a good look at her." Lindsay came out of the kitchen. She had not even taken off her apron. Zhang Yao looked her up and down. Then she smiled. You are pretty. How old are you?" 27. 5 years younger than Yang Yang. Not bad. Where do you work? At a design institute in Pengsheng. What kind of design? Architectural design. Oh. Zhang Yao drew out the word. How much do you make? Yao Yao. My eldest paternal aunt gave her a light smack from the side. She just got here. Why are you asking that? I am just curious. I do not know whether designers earn much. Linzhu did not dodge the question. About average for the industry. Not especially high, but enough to support myself. But Yang Yang earns a lot. Are you planning to buy a place in Pengsheng? We have started looking. I cut in. Which district? Nanshan district or Fusion? How big? How much mortgage? Zhang Yao's questions came like machine gun fire. I was just about to stop her. Linzhu spoke first. Cousin Yao Yao. Xiaobao is 3 this year, right? Has he started kindergarten? Hey, how did you know his name is Xiaobao? Yang Yang has mentioned him to me many times. He said Xiaobao is very bright. Last time on video he even sang us a song. Zhang Yao's attention shifted at once. Really? Yang Yang. When did you tell Xiaoxu that? When we were chatting before. I played along. Come on, Xiaobao. Sing something for Annie. 3-year-old Xiaobao was nudged in front of Linzhu. He squirmed shyly a couple of times. Then he opened his mouth and sang an off-key Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Everyone applauded. Zhang Yao's attention was completely carried away. She never pressed again about salary or housing. I watched from the side. I nearly applauded too. That counterattack was textbook level. But one person was not distracted. Lin Deming sat on the sofa. He watched Lin Zhu for a full 3 seconds. Then he picked up his teacup, lowered his head and took a sip. He said nothing, but that 3-second stare sent a chill down my back. He was observing. He was judging. He was waiting for a flaw. Lunch was served with 12 dishes. 10 people sat at the main table. My father and Lin Deming took the seats of honor. Lin Zhu and I sat side by side. Zhang Yao sat across from us. My eldest paternal aunt and second paternal uncle sat on either side. After several rounds of drinks, everyone grew more talkative. My father kept pouring drinks for Lin Deming. The two of them started reminiscing about their old construction site days. One talked about nearly falling from the scaffolding. The other talked about 3 men sharing one quilt in winter. They shivered under it from the cold. They laughed until tears came out. Brother Jianhua, we are both getting old. Lin Deming sighed with feeling. Isn't that the truth? In the blink of an eye, our children are grown. My father patted my shoulder. Look at this brat of mine. 32, and only now bringing a girl home. He has worried us to death. Young people's affairs are not something we can control much anymore. Lin Deming's tone was calm, but his fingers tapped the tablecloth twice. I noticed. Lin Zhu noticed too. Just then, the doorbell rang. Who is it? My mother got up to open the door. The door swung open. A young woman in a pale gray cashmere coat stood outside. High heels, curled hair, red lips. Behind her followed a man in his 50s. A middle-aged man in a leather jacket. Annie Wang. Happy New Year. The woman smiled sweetly. She carried 2 elegant gift boxes. Oh, it is Zhou Yuan. My mother froze for a moment. What brings you here? My dad said we should pay Uncle Zhang a New Year visit. so he brought me along to sit for a while. For an instant, my mother's expression turned awkward. She glanced back at me. Zhou Yuan, Zhou Jianhua's daughter. I knew her. More precisely, my mother had once been desperate to set me up with her. Zhou Jianhua was in real estate in Dingsheng. His business was neither huge nor small, but in Qingtown, he counted as famously rich. Zhou Yuan was 29 this year, an overseas return master's graduate. Now she was a vice president at her father's company. Last Lunar New Year, my mother arranged a dinner. She insisted I meet Zhou Yuan. I went. We talked for 20 minutes. The whole time, she talked about how big her father's company was, what brand her own car was, and how she thought people in Qingtown had no taste. I made an excuse and left on the spot. Later, my mother pushed me several more times. I refused every time, so the matter was dropped. Now Zhou Yuan stood in the doorway, smiling sweetly at the whole table inside. Then her gaze settled on Linzu. And this is Yang Yang's girlfriend, Xiao Shu. My mother still invited them in. Zhou Yuan came inside. Her father, Zhou Jianhua, followed her in. Zhou Jianhua shook hands with my father and exchanged pleasantries. Then he saw Lin Deming. Well, old Lin. Long time no see. Lin Deming stood up. He shook his hand. Mr. Zhou. Do not call me Mr. Zhou. We are old friends. I looked at the three middle-aged men, all appearing in my living room at once. Suddenly, I had a very bad feeling. Zhou Yuan had already sat down beside Lin Zhu. Xiaoshu, right? What do you do for work? Architectural design. Design. Zhou Yuan raised an eyebrow. Which design institute? One in Pengcheng. I know quite a few people at Pengcheng Design Institutes. Which one? Lin Zhu gave a name. Zhou Yuan thought for a moment. Never heard of it. A small company. The tone of those words was unpleasant to hear. It is not large, but the projects are good quality. Lin Zhu replied without missing a beat. Good quality is a basic requirement for a design institute, is it not? It is hardly something worth bragging about. Zhou Yuan gave a small laugh. She picked up a nut from the table and cracked it open. Beside us, my mother's expression had soured. I was about to speak. Lin Zhu spoke first. Sister Zhou, you work in real estate, right? Yang told me. Yes, I help out at my father's company. That must be hard work. Pengcheng's real estate market has not been doing well lately. The pressure must be heavy. Her words were perfectly polite, but Zhou Yuan's face changed. Pengcheng's real estate market really was struggling. There had recently been rumors that two of Zhou Jianhua's projects had stalled. The news had spread all over the industry. That one line from Lin Zhu looked like concern. In truth, it struck a raw nerve. Zhou Yuan lifted her water glass and took a sip. She did not answer. Under the table, I nudged Lin Zhu with my knee. She ignored me. The Zhou father and daughter stayed at my house for over an hour. Zhou Jianhua drank tea and chatted with my father and Lin Deming. The atmosphere was fairly normal. Zhou Yuan stayed seated on the other side of the living room. Every so often, she glanced Lin Zhu over. That look carried a kind of scrutiny and appraisal. Xiaoshu, where is your hometown? Pengcheng. What do your parents do? They were in business? They are retired now. What business? Building materials. Zhou Yuan repeated it softly. Her tone made it hard to tell if she was curious or something else. I noticed. Lin Deming, sitting opposite us, paused slightly with his teacup in hand. At that moment, Zhou Jianhua leaned over. He looked at me with a broad smile. Yang, this girlfriend of yours is quite something. She is beautiful. And she is a designer. Thank you, Uncle Zhou. But then he changed tack. He glanced at Lin Deming. Old Lin, isn't your daughter in design too? Wasn't she at some design institute before? My daughter left that field long ago. Lin Deming cut him off. His tone was hard. Zhou Jianhua froze for a second. Then he laughed it off. Oh, right? I remembered wrong. Do not mind me. But those words were like a needle piercing still water. I stole a glance at Lin Zhu. The hand around her cup. Her fingertips had gone white. When the Zhou family left, it was already 3 in the afternoon. Zhou Yuan turned back at the doorway. She smiled at me. Brother Yang, let's have dinner another day. There is something I want to discuss with you alone. We will see. I brushed her off. She did not press me. She got into the car. As soon as the car left, my mother started muttering. That Zhou Yuan. Why did she suddenly come today? Fine, it did not work out last year. But this year, you brought a girlfriend home. And she still showed up. What is that supposed to mean? Mom, She came to pay Dad a New Year visit. A New Year visit? Visiting whom? I think she came to size up your girlfriend. That girl has looked down on everyone since she was little. Did you see the way she looked at Xiaoshu? Mom. Stop. I cut my mother off. Linzu was upstairs. I was not sure whether she could hear us. That night, I came out after my shower. There was a WeChat message on my phone. It was from Zhou Yuan. The message was a link. Take a look at this. An interview with Lanting Plaza's designer. I opened the link. It was an industry media report from 2 years ago. The headline read, Principal Designer of Lanting Plaza Feng Zhang, redefining the city skyline with lines. The image showed a middle-aged man in his 40s, standing in front of Lanting Plaza. Feng Zhang. Not Linzu. But Linzu had said. She created the core concept for that project. Her right of attribution had been bought out. What did Zhou Yuan mean by sending this link? What did she know? Or was she only testing me? I placed my phone face down on the table. One thing was becoming clearer. Zhou Yuan had come today. Not to pay a New Year visit. She had come to probe. The question was, what was she probing for? Early on the 3rd day of Lunar New Year, Linzu said she wanted to help my mother make dumplings. My mother was delighted. She pulled her into the kitchen. The two of them bustled around the cutting board like a real mother-in-law and daughter-in-law already. I sat in the living room. My phone rang. A message popped up in a colleague group chat, Brother Mu. Happy New Year. Then came a pile of red envelopes. I casually grabbed a few. Then I backed out and saw a new message from an unsaved number. Zhang Yang. This is Lin Deming. Tomorrow afternoon at 3. Old Zhang's Teahouse in town. Come out and sit with me. I stared at the message for 10 seconds. How did he have my phone number? There was only one answer. My father gave it to him. I did not reply right away. Yang, come taste these. My mother poked her head out, holding a plate of fresh dumplings. Coming. I walked into the kitchen. Linzu was rolling dumpling wrappers at the prep board. Her technique was practiced. Her movements were crisp. One hand turned the dough. The other pressed the rolling pin over it. Each wrapper came out round and even. Xiaoshu, you are so good at making dumplings. My mother's face was full of joy. Yours look even better than mine. I learned from my mom when I was little. When Linzu said that, her hands stopped for an instant. Only for that instant. Then she was back to normal. Is your mother in good health? My mother asked casually. She is doing well. Thank you for asking, Annie. She did not say more, but I knew her mother was in poor health. She needed long-term medication. After we ate the dumplings, I found an excuse to go out. I said I was going into town to buy something. Linzu glanced at me. She said nothing. I did not go into town. I went next door to Annie Zhao's house. I used her Wi-Fi to look up a few things. Search terms, Linzu, architectural design, Pengcheng. No results. I changed the search terms, Linzu, Lanting Plaza. Still nothing. Then I searched, Feng Zheng, design team, core member. This time, I found an old post. It had been posted on an architecture industry forum. Anonymous. The title was, The True Designer of Lanting Plaza is Someone Else. There were only a handful of replies under the post. Most of them accused the poster of spreading rumors. But one reply caught my attention. According to someone familiar with the matter, the core concept came from a young designer called Jay. Later, due to a contract dispute, that designer left the team. The design credit belonged to the client, Linzu. I closed the page. Then I walked out of Annie Zhao's house. Cold wind poured into my collar. But my mind felt much clearer than before. Linzu had told the truth. Her design had been stolen. But who was the client that stole it? Feng Zheng was only the credited name. The real client. I thought of what Zhou Jianhua had said yesterday. Old Lin. Isn't your daughter in design too? Wasn't she at some design institute before? Zhou Jianhua. His real estate company. Lanting Plaza. Those keywords linked together in my mind. If Lanting Plaza's developer was Zhou Jianhua's company, then the person who stole Linzu's design was Zhou Jianhua? I stood at the mouth of the alley. Scattered firecrackers crackled in the distance. The wind was getting stronger. I replied to Lin Deming, all right. See you tomorrow at 3. At 2:50 in the afternoon on the 4th day of Lunar New Year, old Zhang's tea house stood on the oldest street in town. A faded sign hung over the entrance. Inside, the furnishings looked the same as they had more than 10 years ago. When I pushed the door open and went in, Lin Deming was already sitting by the window. A pot of tea, Guanyan tea. 2 cups. When he saw me, he did not stand. He only lifted his chin, signaling for me to sit. I sat down. He poured me a cup of tea, then pushed it over. Have some tea. I picked it up and took a sip. The tea was scalding, but I did not make a sound. Zhang, I am going to ask you something. Do not lie to me. Go ahead. What is Xiaoshu's relationship with you? Straight to the point. My fingers tightened around the cup. I did not let go. You should be able to tell. I can tell. That is why I am asking you? He stared at me. Those eyes were sharp. Not like a businessman in his 50s. More like an old detective interrogating a suspect. Your father and I have known each other for more than 20 years. I have known you since you were little. When you were 6, you fell while playing with water at the construction site. I was the one who carried you to the clinic. You do not remember. But I do. I truly did not remember. So tell me the truth today. Was she hired for money? 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Yes. I did not know why I admitted it. Maybe it was because of his eyes. Maybe because he was Lin Zhu's father. Maybe because this lie had reached the point where it was growing out of control. And someone had to know the truth. After Lin Deming heard that word, he did not fly into a rage. He did not slap the table. He only picked up his teacup, took a sip, then set it down. How much? 80,000. He closed his eyes. She was that desperate for money. He was not saying it to me. He was saying it to himself. We were the only two customers in the entire Teahouse. Old Zhang was dozing behind the counter. His snores came in waves. Uncle Lin, there is something I want to ask you. Ask. 3 years ago, the person who stole Lin Zhu's concept design, was it Zhou Jianhua? His fingers twitched. She told you? Some of it. I found the details myself. He was silent for a long time. That project was called Lanting Plaza. Xiaoshu was responsible for its core concept. The main massing design, spatial circulation, and facade design. All of it came from her alone. She was only 24 then, full of drive. She worked overtime until dawn every day. At her most intense, she slept in the office for an entire week. And after the concept was finished, the concept was handed to the client. The client was Zhou Jianhua's Dingsheng real estate. The contract contained a one-sided clause. The intellectual property rights to the results belonged to the client. Xiaoshu did not notice it when she signed. Her supervisor did not warn her either. And then Zhou Jianhua took her concept, put Fang Zheng's name on it, entered it for an award. Won. It became an industry benchmark. Xiaoshu wanted to defend her rights, but the contract was right there. She could not win. So, she came to you for help. Lin Deming's hand tightened around his teacup. Back then, I thought she was young and naive. Going up against a major company would not end well. Zhou Jianhua had deep connections in Pengcheng. If she really made a scene, she would never survive in this industry again. You took Zhou Jianhua's money. 2 million. He gave it to me. Said it was buyout compensation. Lin Zhu found out. She moved out that very night. Even changed her phone number. He set down the teacup, laced his fingers together on the table. It has been 3 years. I asked many people to look for news of her. I knew she was in Pengcheng, but I could not reach her. I did not even know where she lived now, or what work she was doing, until New Year's Eve, when she walked into your house with you. The moment I saw her, he did not finish. Outside, the wind rattled the windows. I refilled his cup. Uncle Lin, Zhou Yuan stayed at my house for over an hour the day before yesterday. I know. She came on purpose. She sent me a link about Lanting Plaza. Lin Deming's eyes narrowed. Zhou Jianhua's daughter, just like her father. Do you think she is investigating Lin Zhu? She is not investigating. She is confirming. Confirming what? Whether Xiaoshu still has the evidence from back then. Original design drafts, emails, revision records. If those things still exist, they are a ticking time bomb for Zhou Jianhua. I looked at him for a while. Does Lin Zhu have them? Lin Deming did not answer directly. Zhang, listen to me. Go ahead. When these 8 days are over, let her go. This matter, the fewer people dragged into it, the better. Zhou Jianhua is not an ordinary man. He stood up, picked up his coat, and do not tell Xiaoshu we met today. Then he left. I sat alone in the tea house. Cold tea. A table full of questions. I had thought. I had only spent 80,000 yuan to buy a quiet Lunar New Year. Now I realized. I had bought my way into a situation I could not control at all. When I got home, everything was as usual. My mother was cooking in the kitchen. My father was chopping firewood in the yard. Lin Zhu sat in the living room, helping my mother peel garlic. When she saw me come in, she looked up. What did you buy? I lifted the bag of oranges in my hand. Just these. She lowered her head and kept peeling garlic. She asked nothing more. At dinner, my mother brought something up. On the 6th day of Lunar New Year, the village has a New Year group gathering. Everyone in town will go. Should Xiaoxi show her face too? What group gathering? I was not sure. It is organized by the village committee. They hold it every year on the 6th day. In the town hall, everyone eats a meal together. Makes it lively. Your Uncle Zhou is sponsoring it this year. They say he hired a hotel chef to cook. Uncle Zhou. Zhou Jianhua. Should Xiaoxi go? Whatever Annie arranges is fine. I am fine with anything. Under the table, I nudged her foot. She did not react. That night, I stopped her in the second-floor hallway. The New Year group gathering on the 6th day. Do not go. Why? It is an event sponsored by Zhou Jianhua. Zhou Yuan will definitely be there too. So, Linzu, do you not think Zhou Yuan is targeting you? She leaned against the wall, looked at me for 2 seconds. I know what she is doing. You know, Zhang Yang. Do you think I am stupid? The day she came to your house, I saw it right away. The way she looked at me was not jealousy toward a rival. It was the way someone sizes up prey. Then you still want to go. Why should I not? Are you not afraid she will expose you in public? Linzu looked at me, then suddenly smiled. Not a gentle smile. It was one I had never seen on her face before. A smile so cold it tightened my spine. Zhang Yang, there are things you do not know. I am not afraid of her exposing me. What I am afraid of is her forcing me to say the words I have swallowed for 3 years. She pushed open the bedroom door and went inside. I stood in the hallway, staring at the tightly closed door. There was too much about this woman I did not know, and those things were unraveling layer by layer. The 5th day of Lunar New Year passed peacefully. I took Linzu and my mother to the town temple to burn incense. On the way back, we passed old Zhang's tea house. My heart skipped twice. Linzu noticed nothing. That night, I received Zhou Yuan's second WeChat message. Yang, see you at the New Year group gathering on the 6th. I saved seats for you and your future sister-in-law. Right next to me. A smiling emoji followed. I did not reply. On the 6th day, the town hall was decorated for the holiday. Red silk and golden lanterns covered the ceiling. A banner hung at the entrance. King Town. New Year group gathering, sponsored by Dingsheng Real Estate. When we entered, my mother pulled Linzu along in front. To everyone she met, she announced, "This is my daughter-in-law, a designer. Works at a big company in Pengcheng." Though she was not really my daughter-in-law, and she was not from a big company either, I had no way to correct her. Nearly 200 people sat in the hall, spread across more than 20 tables. Sure enough, our seats were at the very front, right beside the main table. At the main table sat the town mayor, the village committee secretary, and Zhou Jianhua. Zhou Yuan sat beside her father. She wore a red dress. Her makeup was flawless. When she saw us coming, she waved at me. Yang, over here. I pulled Linzu down beside me. Linzu faced straight ahead. Her back was perfectly straight. The opening program ran for half an hour. The town mayor gave remarks. Zhou Jianhua made a speech, and they played a promo about King Town's construction achievements this year. Then came the open mingling session. People carried wine glasses from table to table. Zhou Yuan carried a glass of red wine. She walked from the main table to ours. Xiaoshu, let's talk. She smiled and sat beside Linzu. You said before that you work in architectural design. I have been thinking about it these past few days. Funny enough, my father's company has a project that was also done by a design institute. It is called Lanting Plaza. You have heard of it, right? Linzu's hand stayed still around her water glass. I have. Then you must know that project's principal designer, Feng Zheng. He is very famous now, giving talks everywhere, and he has won several major domestic awards. You are in the same field. Do you not think his design philosophy is impressive? Especially that concept of spatial circulation. The whole industry is talking about it. Linzu set down her glass. That concept is indeed good. Would you be interested in meeting him? Next time, I could introduce you to. Maybe you could exchange ideas. No need. What? Are you embarrassed? Zhou Yuan's smile widened a little. Do you think your level is far below Feng Zheng's? Several strangers at the table were listening. My mother was listening too. I was just about to speak. Linzu spoke first. Sister Zhou, it is hard to say what my level is. But I do know one thing. Whether a design is good does not depend on whose name is signed on it. It depends on who drew the first stroke. Zhou Yuan's hand paused around her wine glass. What does that mean? Exactly what it means. The two of them stared at each other. The noise in the hall suddenly seemed far away. Just then, a voice came through the microphone. Everyone, please quiet down. Next, let us welcome President Zhou of Dingsheng Real Estate to introduce Kingtown's largest investment project this year. Zhou Jianhua walked onto the stage. The big screen lit up. An animated rendering began to play. A modern community complex appeared. Its form was clean and fluid. Its geometric lines were layered with deliberate rhythm. I glanced at Linzu beside me. Her face showed no expression, but the hand gripping her glass, her knuckles had gone white. Zhou Jianhua held the microphone. He began, "This project is Dingsheng Real Estate's core plan for the next 3 years. The design was handled by a top domestic team. Fake." The voice was not loud, but everyone in the first 3 rows heard it, including Zhou Jianhua. His gaze snapped over. Linzu stood up. "This plan's spatial layout and circulation design are identical to Lanting Plaza's core logic. You merely changed a commercial complex into a community complex. Even the angle of the skyline cuts is unchanged." The entire hall went dead silent. Zhou Yuan shot to her feet. "What are you talking about? Sit down." Linzu's voice was clear and distinct. "The underlying framework of this plan is not Feng Zheng's. It is mine. 3 years ago, you bought it out once. Now you have taken it out and used it a second time." More than 200 people in the hall all turned to look at Linzu, then at Zhou Jianhua. Zhou Jianhua's smile was still on his face, but it had frozen stiff. Zhou Yuan rushed up to our table. "Who gave you the right to make a scene here? Who do you think you are? You are just a..." She paused. Then the corners of her mouth curved into a cruel arc I knew far too well. "You are just the fake girlfriend Zhang Yang hired for 80,000 yuan. For the second time, the hall fell silent. My mother's face went deathly pale. "What? Annie Wang? You did not know, did you?" Zhou Yuan turned to my mother. Her voice was sickeningly sweet. "This wonderful future daughter-in-law of yours is no designer. She is an employee at a Pengcheng company called Yuan Companions. They specialize in pretending to be people's partners. Zhang Yang spent 80,000 yuan to hire her and deceive you and uncle." She pulled a phone from her bag. She tapped the screen open. It was a screenshot, a staff profile page from Yuan Companions. The person in the photo was Linzu. My mother's hands began to shake. My father shot to his feet. All 200 pairs of eyes in the hall fixed on me and Linzu. I opened my mouth, but not a single word came out. Linzu stood where she was, motionless, in the corner directly opposite us. Deming's chair gave a harsh scrape. He stood up. Step by step, he walked to the front of the stage. Every gaze followed him. He reached the microphone and picked it up. "I have something to say." Deming's voice rang through the speakers across the whole hall. "I have something to say. I must make clear in front of everyone in Kingtown." He swept his gaze across the hall, then looked at Zhou Jianhua. "First, Linzu is my daughter. My biological daughter." The whole hall erupted. "What? Old Lin's daughter? His daughter is..." Whispers and exclamations broke out at every table at once. My mother sat frozen in her chair. Her lips parted several times. My father braced one hand on the table. He stared at Deming. His face was full of disbelief. When Zhou Yuan heard the words "my daughter," her smile seemed to lose all support. Half of it collapsed. Deming gave no one time to process it. "Second, my daughter is not some fake designer. She has a proper master's degree in architecture. She graduated from Pengcheng University. She studied under Professor Wang Wei. At 24, she took part in Lanting Plaza's concept design. She independently completed its core concept and spatial circulation system. I have all her original design drafts from that time. I have the email sending records. I have the version iteration files. And I have a joint recommendation letter from her mentors. I have kept these things for 3 years. One copy is in my safe. Another is with my lawyer." He turned around and faced Zhou Jianhua. Zhou Jianhua's face had lost all color. "President Zhou, what you bought out 3 years ago was the right of attribution, not my daughter's talent. Today, you took her design out again and repackaged it under a fresh facade before using it again. What do you call that?" No one in the hall spoke. Even the town mayor said nothing. Deming put the microphone back on its stand. He walked up to Linzu. Father and daughter looked at each other. Linzu's hand was trembling, but she did not cry. Deming took a USB flash drive from his pocket. He placed it in her palm. "These are all your original files from back then. I had someone make a notarized backup from Feng Zheng's server. 3 years ago, I failed to help you. I was a coward. Today, I am done being a coward. Lin Zhou lowered her head and looked at the USB flash drive in her hand. It was tiny, so light, but it held the 3 years stolen from her. Zhou Yuan's voice rang out from the side, sharp enough to sting. So what if she is your daughter? She really is a paid fake girlfriend. That fact cannot be changed. She deceived Uncle Zhang and Annie Wang. Lin Deming ignored her. I stood up. Zhou Yuan, shut up. You. I paid someone to come home with me for Lunar New Year, because I had been pressured to marry for 3 years. I had been on more than a dozen arranged dates. Every trip home felt like walking to the gallows. I admit it. I lied. But this lie. I glanced at my mother. Her eyes were completely red. Mom, I'm sorry, but there is one thing I did not lie about. Lin Zhou is a good woman. No matter whether she was paid to be here or not. The whole hall went silent again. After this silence, Annie Zhao was the first to speak. Zhou, family girl, was it fun exposing someone else's private business? Have you even found yourself a boyfriend? Exactly. This is between their two families. Who gave you the right to tear it apart? At some point, Zhang Yao had stood up. Her hands were on her hips. Zhou Yuan's face flushed crimson. Zhou Jianhua stood on the stage for a full 5 minutes. Finally, he moved. He tugged at his suit collar, then forced a smile at the audience below. Everyone, please calm down. This is all a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. President Zhou. Lin Deming did not even turn his head. On the 7th day of Lunar New Year, my lawyer will send a formal legal letter about the right of attribution for Lanting Plaza's design, and about this new project you showed today, specifically the intellectual property rights to its concept design. I will see you in court. After saying that, he tugged lightly at Lin Zhu's hand and left. Lin Zhou followed him out. After 2 steps, she stopped. She looked back at me. She said nothing, but that look carried more weight than everything she had said in those 8 days. I started walking and followed them. The wind outside the hall was strong. Lin Deming walked ahead. His pace was fast. Lin Zhou nearly had to jog to keep up. Dad. He did not stop. Dad. Lin Zhou grabbed his sleeve. Father and daughter stopped on the steps outside the hall. Come back to Pengcheng with me, Lin Deming said. I am not going back. What kind of life have you been living out there? Being someone's fake girlfriend for 80,000 yuan. You are my daughter, Lin Deming's daughter. I have not been your daughter for 3 years. Those words made Lin Deming's body sway. You took Zhou Jianhua's money. You told me to swallow that anger. You said I was young and did not understand the world. Lin Zhu's voice was not loud, but every word struck like a nail. My work, my heart's blood, the things I drew through so many sleepless nights. You helped sell them for 2 million yuan. You did not even ask me once. At the time, you were afraid. You were afraid Zhou Jianhua would retaliate against your business. Afraid your industry connections would be cut off. Afraid the reputation you had built over the years would be ripped apart. You were afraid. So, you took what was mine and traded it for a check. Lin Deming opened his mouth. No words came out. But just now, Lin Zhu's voice suddenly dropped. She was no longer pressing him. When you took out the USB flash drive just now, you said you had kept it for 3 years. From the day you moved out, I had someone make a notarized backup. Why? Lin Deming looked at his daughter. Because I knew I was wrong. But I did not know how to say it. I sent many people to look for you. You turned them all away. I thought about going straight to Pengcheng to find you. But I was afraid you would not even let me through the door. When your mother was in the hospital, Lin Zhou jerked her head up. You knew. 5 months ago. Gallbladder surgery. Pengcheng 6 People's Hospital. I had your second maternal uncle transfer the hospital fees for me. Your mother did not tell you? Lin Zhu's fingers tightened. She said nothing. The wind swept between them. I stood below the steps. I did not go up. No third person should have been there for those words. But I heard them. Every single word. At last, Lin Zhou said, we will talk when we get back. She turned around and walked down the steps. When she passed me, she reached out and touched my arm, very lightly, as if saying, thank you for not stopping me. After we got home, my mother sat on the sofa without saying a word. My father stayed beside her. When Lin Zhou and I came in, the living room felt colder than outside. Mom, do not call me that. My mother did not look up. Tell me the truth. Was she hired with money? I stood there. Yes. My mother's shoulders sagged. 80,000 yuan. You would rather spend 80,000 yuan to hire a stranger to fool your mother than simply tell me, Mom, I do not want to get married yet. I opened my mouth. My throat tightened. Do you know how happy I was? How happy I have been these past few days. I thought my son had finally found someone. Every day, I hummed songs while buying groceries at the market. I told everyone I met that my son had brought his girlfriend home. A designer, a master's graduate. Her voice sank lower and lower. All of it was fake. Lindsay took one step forward. Annie. Do not call me Annie. My mother lifted her head. Her eyes were terribly red. You are old Lin's daughter. He drank tea in our house for 3 days and never mentioned a word. Did you all take me and old Zhang for fools? Lindsay stood there without backing away. Annie, this was my fault. I should not have taken this job. I should not have lied to you and uncle. But these past few days. But what? But the braised pork hock you made was truly delicious. When you peeled oranges for me, you picked off every bit of white pith. You made my bed with 2 layers of quilts, and even tucked a hot water bottle under the covers for me. These things. Lindsay paused. These things were not fake. My mother stared at her for a long time. Then she turned her face away and wiped the corner of her eye. Go outside. I need to talk to my son. Lindsay turned and went upstairs. Only the 3 of us were left in the living room. My mother looked at me. For a long while, she did not move. What else have you lied to me about? Nothing else. Your salary? It really is 1.2 million. It is. The apartment? The car? All true. So only the girlfriend was fake. I nodded. My mother raised her hand and slapped the arm of the sofa. Get down on your knees. I knelt. Will you ever dare lie to your mother again? No. If you do not want to get married, then do not. If anyone pressures you, tell Mom. I will scold them back for you. I will stop pushing you. Is that enough? I lifted my head. My mother's tears fell. I am only afraid you will be all alone. I am getting old. I cannot look after you for many more years. Mom, but you cannot lie to me. When you lie to me, it only makes me more afraid. Beside us, my father's side. He came over and helped my mother up. Enough. The boy knows he was wrong. He knows nothing. My mother snapped. But she did not question me anymore. I knelt in the living room for 10 minutes. My father walked over and patted my head. Get up. There is something I need to tell you. What is it? Old Ling called me just now. What did he say? He said, if you truly like Xiaoshu, he will not object. I looked up at my father. But if you are just playing along, he will break your legs. His exact words. On the morning of the 7th day of Lunar New Year, Lindsay packed her luggage. The contract had ended on the 6th day. Now you're already past the deadline. She stood in the courtyard with her suitcase. She was wearing her own clothes, not the burgundy coat I had bought her. My mother stood in the doorway, her arms crossed over her chest. Her expression was hard to read, anger or something else. So, you are leaving just like that? The contract expired. Annie, what lousy contract? You stayed in my home for 7 days. You helped me make dumplings 3 times. You helped me fix the heating pipe once. You even helped your uncle fix the loose piece under the tea table. That floor tile that had been loose for a year. You think that was in the contract? Lindsay said nothing. She looked back at the 2-story house with red lanterns hanging from it. She paused. Annie, I really should go. Then give back the red envelopes. What? The red envelope your grandfather gave you. The red envelope your grandmother gave you. Together, they make 1,600 yuan. If you return them, it means you do not acknowledge this family. If you do not return them, my mother did not finish. Lindsay tightened her grip on the suitcase handle. I walked out. I will take you to the high-speed rail station. Neither of us spoke the whole way. When we reached the entrance to the high-speed rail station, she pushed open the car door. As she took her luggage, I called out to her. Lindsay. She stopped. Have you looked at what is on the USB flash drive? I have. Everything is there. The original CAD files, revision, logs, and email correspondence. More complete than I expected. So, what are you going to do next? She pulled up the handle of her suitcase. Sue them. Do you need help? She turned to look at me. Zhang Yang, the contract has expired. I know. Then why are you? Because these 8 days were not all an act from me. She froze. I took an envelope from my pocket and handed it to her. The remaining 40,000 yuan. Keep it safe. She did not take it right away. There is one more thing. This was not in the contract. What is it? I know a partner at a law firm in Dingsheng. His name is Jiaoming Yuan. He specializes in intellectual property lawsuits. If you need him, I can set up a meeting. I will cover the legal fees. I do not need that. Treat it as a loan. When you win the case and receive compensation, pay me back then. She looked at me for a long time. Then she took the envelope and tucked it into her bag. 2 o'clock on the afternoon of the 8th. Send me lawyer Zhou's contact information. She turned and walked into the station. I stood where I was, watching her back disappear through the security gate. The wind loosened a strand of her hair. She did not look back. The day after I returned to Pengsheng, I contacted Zhao Yuan. Zhao Yuan was my college roommate. He graduated from law school. Now he runs a boutique law firm in Pengsheng. It specializes in intellectual property and commercial disputes. You want me to help an architectural designer with a lawsuit against Dingsheng Real Estate? Yes. Zhang. Do you know Dingsheng Real Estate has an 8-person legal team? I know. Do you know Zhou Jianhua has played golf in Pengsheng with several judges? I know. And you still want me to take it? Because she has the full set of original evidence. And Zhou Jianhua has already used that stolen design once. Now he is about to use it a second time. Zhao Yuan was silent for 3 seconds. Send it over. Let me see. I gave Zhao Yuan Lin Zhu's contact information. 3 days later, Zhao Yuan called me. Zhang, I will take this case. You reviewed the materials? I did. The evidence is overwhelming. The CAD files were created before Feng Zheng's version by a full for months. The email records include messages from the client's project manager, clearly requesting revisions. Every single one was addressed to Lin Zhu, not Feng Zheng. There are also version iteration logs. They clearly show the evolution of the entire design concept. It is a complete chain of creation. Can we win? Not only can we win, we can pursue to linked cases. The first is infringement of the right of attribution for Lanting Plaza's design. The second is Dingsheng Real Estate's new project currently being pushed forward. If we confirm that the design's underlying design logic comes from Lanting Plaza's original concept, then it is a second infringement. And this time, there is no so-called buyout contract at all. What about Zhou Jianhua's buyout contract from back then? That contract only covered Lanting Plaza's right of attribution for that one project. Now he is taking Lin Zhu's design logic and applying it to a new project. That is completely beyond the contract scope. It is a separate act of infringement. I let out a breath. Zhao Yuan, there is something I need to tell you up front. What is it? Zhou Jianhua is not easy to deal with. He may use unconventional methods. You mean he might investigate me? Or investigate Lin Zhu? Or you? Any of us? It is fine. I have been a lawyer for 11 years. I have dealt with every kind of dirty trick. And I have never been scared off. After hanging up, I sent Lin Zhu a message. Lawyer Zhao's side has already gotten started. Work with him to organize the materials. Tell me anytime something comes up. Half an hour later, she replied with 2 words. All right. 1 minute later, she sent another message about the legal fees. I am keeping track. I did not reply. For the next 2 weeks, Lin Zhu and I stayed indirectly connected through Zhao Yuan. Zhao Yuan said Lin Zhu was highly professional, and the materials she provided were organized in detail, like academic footnotes. Every file was marked with a timeline and related evidence. She worked so efficiently that even after he worked overtime for 3 straight days, he still had not finished processing it all. Zhang, this girl is no ordinary person, Zhao Yuan said during one call. I know. No, you do not know the half of it. I had an assistant at our firm look into her academic background when she was doing her master's at Pengsheng University. She won first prize in the National College Student Architecture Design Competition. Her mentor, Wang Wei, is a standing council member of the Architectural Society of China. With her ability, if this had not happened, she would at least be a lead designer at some design institute by now. A national first prize winner. Professor Wang Wei's student. The girl who helped my mother wash dishes at my house and helped my father fix the tea table had once stood that high. Zhao Yuan, win this case properly. Help her take back everything that belongs to her. Do not worry. The case was formally filed on the 15th day of the first lunar month. That same day, Zhou Jianhua's side made its move. Lin Zhu's phone received a message from an unknown number. Miss Lin, some things should be left in the past. Digging them up helps no one. Think carefully before you act. She forwarded me a screenshot. Guess who sent this? Did you check the number? A disposable number. But the meaning is obvious. They are threatening you. More than that, this afternoon, 2 people claiming to be reporters came to my place and knocked on the door. They asked whether I had ever done paid chat companionship work. My grip tightened around the phone. You did not open the door, did you? No. But they waited downstairs for 2 hours. They even took photos of me going out to buy groceries. Lin Zhou, move out for now. I have an empty apartment in Nanshan. No need. I have moved into temporary housing arranged by lawyer Zhou. As for those people, lawyer Zhou has already called the police. He has also filed a supplementary motion with the court, alleging witness intimidation and harassment by the other side. Her tone was as level as if she were reporting project progress. But I knew she was not afraid. Not because she was fearless by nature, because she had already lost 3 years of her life once. Nothing makes a person more unafraid than having already lost everything. On the 23rd day of the first lunar month, the first court hearing began. Zhao Yuan requested a closed hearing, but the news still leaked. That night, a self-media account called Architecture Circle Insider published an article. The title was, "The Mystery of Lanting Plaza's Designer. Former core team member sues Dingsheng Real Estate." The article quickly shot to the top of the industry's trending list. The comments split into 3 camps. One camp said Lin Zhou was running a shakedown. A former employee suing her old company was just after money. Another said someone finally had the courage to speak up. Big companies exploited designers far too often. The last camp started digging through Fang Zheng's past work, whose style was nothing like Lanting Plaza at all. A glaring break in style. How could that be explained? Fang Zheng made no public response. But during the hearing, Zhao Yuan called Fang Zheng's assistant, 2 other designers from the project team at the time, and Dingsheng Real Estate's project manager. The 4 testimonies were like for blades. Fang Zheng's assistant said, the core plan had already been completed before Fang Zheng took over. Fang Zheng only made minor adjustments to the facade materials. The designers said, Lin Zhou was the one making decisions in the project team. She handled every concept presentation. The project manager said, at the time, Mr. Zhou demanded that the design credit be changed from Lin Zhou to Fang Zheng. Some of us objected internally, but in the end, it was all suppressed. That sentence directly exposed Zhou Jianhua's intent to manipulate things. In the court record, Zhou Jianhua's legal team immediately requested a recess. The judge approved it. After leaving the courthouse, Zhao Yuan called me. It is in the bag. Zhou Jianhua has 2 choices now: settle, or wait for the court to award damages and order a public apology. Given the current chain of evidence, neither choice will be comfortable for him. How is Lin Zhou? Very calm. She showed no emotional fluctuation the whole time. Every answer she gave the judge was clear and precise. Zhang, are you sure she was not a lawyer before? I did not laugh. Tell her she should get every cent she is owed, and not be shorted by a single cent. Zhou Jianhua did not choose to settle. He chose to dig in and fight it out. At the second hearing, he replaced his entire legal team. His new lawyers came from one of Pingsheng's largest law firms. Their main strategy was to challenge the integrity of the evidence chain. They said the original CAD files might have been tampered with. They said the email records might have been fabricated afterward. They even brought in a so-called digital forensics expert to issue an appraisal report. It claimed that Lin Zhou's files showed signs of modification. In court, Zhao Yuan flipped through that appraisal report page by page. Your Honor, the other side's digital forensics agency, Cheng Data, has a major shareholder that is an affiliate of Dingsheng Real Estate. We have already submitted the business registration records and equity penetration report to the court. Zhou Jianhua's lawyer's expression changed. We asked the court to review the neutrality of this appraisal report. At the same time, we have applied for a court-designated, independent third-party institution to conduct a new appraisal. The appraisal result, Zhao Yuan took out a document, confirmed that the original file creation times had not been modified in any way. The timestamps matched the server logs perfectly. At the bench, the judge looked through both reports and made notes. Zhou Jianhua sat in the gallery. His face had gone ashen. After court adjourned, Zhao Yuan was stopped by 2 strangers in the courthouse parking lot. Lawyer Zhao, Mr. Zhou would like to speak with you privately. Anything he has to say can be said in court. 5 million yuan. An out-of-court settlement. The condition is that Miss Lin withdraw the lawsuit, sign a non-disclosure agreement, and never publicly discuss this matter again. Zhao Yuan got into his car and rolled down the window. Go back and tell Mr. Zhou my client is not after money. Then he drove away. That night, Lin Zhou sent me a voice message. Zhang, they offered 5 million yuan to settle. I did not agree. I know. You do not think I am foolish? 5 million yuan. That is a lot of money. You did not sue for the money. 3 seconds of silence. Right. I did not do it for money. I did it so everyone would know that design was mine. The name sign on it should have been mine. That building stands in Nanshan District, Pingsheng. Every day, 30,000 people pass by it. It should know who created it. Her voice was very soft, but every word was as clear as if carved into stone. Lin Zhou, you will win. Before the third hearing, Zhou Jianhua made one final attempt. He did not go to Lin Zhou. He went to Lin Deming, Kingtown, Old Zhang's Teahouse. Lin Deming later recorded the call and forwarded it to Lin Zhou. Lin Zhou forwarded it to me. In the recording, Zhou Jianhua's tone was very polite. Old Lin, you and I have known each other for over 20 years. What happened back then? I admit some things were not handled carefully enough, but you did take 2 million yuan. Now your daughter is making this scene. Do you think that is appropriate? What do you mean, making a scene? She is defending her rights in court. Old Lin, listen to me. If this case really goes on, it will not be good for anyone. You still have your reputation in the industry. Once this hits the news, everyone will know that back then, you took the money and signed a buyout contract for your daughter. Your reputation. I do not care about saving face anymore. Zhou Jianhua paused for 2 seconds. What did you say? I said, I do not need my reputation anymore. 3 years ago, it was because I cared about saving face that I hurt my own daughter. And now you want to talk to me about reputation. Old Lin, Zhou Jianhua, listen carefully. First, the 2 million yuan from back then. I did not spend a single cent. It is all kept in a separate account. It can be returned at any time. Second, my daughter's decision to sue you is her own. I will not interfere, and I will not help you persuade her. Third, if you come to me again, I will hand today's recorded conversation to the court. The recording ended there. Zhou Jianhua's last card had missed completely. The fourth hearing, the final hearing. Zhao Mingyuan gave his final statement. Your Honor, the facts of this case are clear. The evidence is conclusive. My client, Miss Lin Zhou, is the independent creator of Lanting Plaza's core design plan. The defendant, Dingsheng Real Estate, used an unequal, standard form contract clause to buy out her right of attribution, and without authorization, it reused that plan's core underlying design logic in a new project. This constitutes a second infringement. Our claims are as follows. First, confirm that Ms. Lin Zhou holds the right of attribution to Lanting Plaza's core design plan. Second, require the defendant for this second infringement to issue a public apology and compensate her economic losses. Third, require the defendant to immediately stop using the infringing design plan. In the new project, the judge announced a recess for deliberation. When we walked out of the courthouse, Lin Zhou stood on the steps. Pingsheng in March had already begun to warm. Sunlight fell across her. Now we wait for the result. Are you nervous? She thought for a moment. No. Win or lose. I stood here. I said what I needed to say. I presented the evidence I needed to present. 3 years ago, I swallowed that bitterness alone. Now I have spat it back out. Who has to swallow it now no longer matters. I stood beside her. Neither of us said anything. But that silence was not empty. It was full. The court judgment came down. Lin Zhou won completely. The court found that Lin Zhou held an inalienable right of attribution to Lanting Plaza's core design plan. Because of Dingsheng Real Estate's one-sided clause in a standard form contract, it had obtained a formal transfer of attribution rights. But as a matter of creative authorship, Lin Zhou remained the original designer. Dingsheng Real Estate had, without authorization, used the original plan's underlying design logic in its new project, which constituted an independent infringement. The court awarded damages of 8.2 million yuan, a public apology, and the new project had to halt construction for rectification. That afternoon, when the judgment was served, Zhao Mingyuan opened a bottle of red wine at the law firm. Zhang Yang, 8.2 million yuan. After legal fees and taxes, Lin Zhou will actually receive about 6.5 million. How much are the legal fees? For this case, I'm only charging at cost. 300,000 yuan. Why? Because this case deserves a place in my professional practice summary. Getting to represent a landmark case like this matters more than the fee. Besides, he paused. Let me be honest. Do not take this the wrong way. Say it. That girl, Lin Zhou. If you do not pursue her, you are an idiot. You are not the one who should be saying that, but someone had to. After hanging up, I hesitated for 10 minutes. Then I dialed Lin Zhou's number. Hello. You received the judgment. I did. Are you happy? She paused for 2 seconds. I am, but not only because I won. Then why? Because these past few days, my dad has called me every day. For 3 years before this, he could not reach me. Now he calls every day. After calling, he even texts, "Have you eaten? Are you cold? Do you want to come home for a couple of days?" Her voice trembled a little. For the first time, he apologized to me on his own. He said it over the phone. Then he hung up right after. He did not give me a chance to answer. Have you forgiven him? Not yet. But I do not hate him anymore. Then what is it? Maybe I just feel he has not had it easy either. A middle-aged man in his 50s. His pride scattered all over the floor. Crouching down to pick it up piece by piece. What about me? What about you? What am I to you? The phone went silent for a full 8 seconds. Zhang, the contract expired over a month ago. You still need something. Yes. What is it? The kind that was not in the contract. Another 3 seconds of silence. Then I am listening. I want to ask you to dinner. Not a business dinner. Not a contract dinner. Just dinner. She did not answer. But she did not hang up either. 5 seconds later. Saturday night. You choose the place. On the 3rd day after the judgment went public, the industry erupted. Architecture media, self-media accounts, and forums were all discussing the same thing on WeChat moments. Final judgment in Lanting Plaza attribution rights dispute. The true designer comes to light. Fang Zheng issued a statement. The wording was extremely vague. During the project cooperation, each team member made contributions. The attribution arrangement was a company decision. I respect the court's ruling. In other words, I didn't do it. The company did it. It has nothing to do with me. But no one in the comments bought it. Someone dug up Fang Zheng's personal portfolio. From the past 5 years, it was all box-shaped buildings. The style was so mediocre it looked like a bad example from an architecture textbook. But Lanting Plaza's design had fluid spatial language, bold skyline cuts, and delicate corridors of light and shadow. The gap between it and Fang Zheng's other work was so huge that anyone with eyes could see it. Fang Zheng has the skill to design Lanting Plaza. My graduation project had more ideas than his old work. So the real designer was Zhou. I looked up her background. First prize in the National College Student Architecture Design Competition. Professor Wang Wei's student. No wonder. Dingsheng Real Estate and Fang Zheng were shamelessly greedy. A 24-year-old woman worked herself to the bone drawing that plan, and they just stole it. Public opinion became overwhelmingly one-sided. Jianhua did not appear on any public platform, but Dingsheng Real Estate's public relations department issued an official statement. The company respects the court judgment and is carrying out rectification and compensation as required. Regarding the negligence of company management in this matter, the company will conduct an internal investigation. Negligence. What a beautifully chosen word. It shifted the blame to management, as if Jianhua was not management, but merely a bystander. But the market did not believe it. Within a week of the judgment going public, 3 of Dingsheng Real Estate's partner banks reassessed its credit limits. Partners onto projects under construction demanded additional guarantees. Jianhua's empire was cracking. Yuan cleared her WeChat moments. Her last post was from Lunar New Year, the 6-day New Year group gathering. Good luck all through the new year. There was only one comment below it. She had liked her own post. In early April, an internal audit report from Dingsheng Real Estate was anonymously leaked online. The report showed that, over the past 5 years, Jianhua had used similar tactics in at least 4 projects. He bought out young designers' proposals at low prices, then repackaged them through affiliated companies to seize the intellectual property rights. Zhou was not the only victim, but she was the first to step forward and win in court. After the news gained traction, 3 other designers also contacted Yuan's law firm one after another, expressing their intent to pursue rights protection. Yuan said over the phone, "Zhang, this case has become an industry benchmark. More people may step forward next. That is Zhou's achievement, not mine. But you paid the legal fees. She said she would pay me back, and she keeps her word." In mid-April, Dingsheng Real Estate held an extraordinary shareholders meeting. At the meeting, 3 independent directors jointly proposed removing Jianhua from his position as chairman. The reasons included a major intellectual property dispute that had damaged the company's reputation, an internal audit exposing systemic management problems, and multiple projects facing compliance risks. The vote was 7-2. Jianhua was removed from office. The night the news came out, I had my 4th dinner with Zhou. Across from me, Zhou wore a white blouse. Her hair was a little shorter than it had been at Lunar New Year. She looked brighter somehow, her whole self lighter. Did you hear? You mean Zhou Jianhua? I heard. How do you feel? She thought for a moment. Nothing special. Someone was bound to make him answer for what he did. I was only the first. Then how do you plan to use the 8.2 million? Pay off my mother's medical bills. Pay back your legal fees. Use the rest to open a studio. You are going back to design? Yes. My mentor contacted me last week. He said he has an unused studio space in Shenzhen that he can lend me. He also said he would help connect me with a few projects. Professor Wang Wei. Yes. When I left the industry 3 years ago, he called me many times, but I never answered. Now that he knows what happened, he said a good designer had been let down by the industry for 3 years, and the industry should be ashamed. What will you call your studio? I have not decided yet. I have a suggestion. Go on. Call it First Stroke. She looked at me. I said, at the New Year group gathering, you said whether a design is good does not depend on whose name is signed to it. It depends on who drew the first stroke. Her chopsticks paused. She lowered her head and said nothing. When she looked up again, the expression on her face was not a smile, but it was more unforgettable than one. All right. In May, Zhou's studio was officially registered. Its name really was First Stroke. The studio's first project came from a cultural industry park, the overall design of 3 small exhibition halls. The project was not large. The budget was limited too. But Zhou took it. First build a reputation. Money could come later. I once helped her move office desks. The studio was in an old office building in Nanshan, 40 square meters. There was not much inside to drafting tables, for computers, and a white wall covered with design sketches. She was the only principal designer. She had also hired 2 assistants fresh out of school. It was a little 3-person war room, but the sketches on that wall all carried Zhou's style. Bold, fluid, and with room to breathe. By the end of June, the renderings for the 3 exhibition halls were finished. The client said it exceeded expectations. After Professor Wang Wei saw them, he said one thing. This is what Zhou should be doing. In July, an unexpected call came in. It was from Chen Lifeng, Dingsheng Real Estate's new chairman. Miss Lin, I am the new person in charge at Dingsheng Real Estate. I would like to apologize to you in person for the previous dispute. At the same time, I would like to discuss a possible cooperation with you. After Zhou heard him out, she was silent for 5 seconds. An apology is fine. Cooperation can wait. First publish the apology statement you owe me. The one required by the court judgment. You have dragged it out for 3 months. The next day, Dingsheng Real Estate posted a public apology letter on its official homepage. It was signed Dingsheng Real Estate Board of Directors. The letter confirmed Zhou's status as the original designer of Lanting Plaza's core design plan. It formally apologized for the earlier infringement of her attribution rights. Within 2 hours of the statement being posted, it had been read more than 500,000 times. That night, I called Zhou. I saw the statement. How do you feel? Just relieved. Then what do you think I should feel? Cry? Laugh? Go hang a banner outside Lanting Plaza to celebrate. I think you should have a proper meal. Your treat. My treat. You choose the place. She chose a Japanese restaurant. We sat across from each other. We ordered a sashimi platter and 2 bowls of miso soup. During dinner, she told me something. My dad came to Pingcheng last week to see you. He sat in my studio all afternoon. He did not say anything. He just looked at the drawings on the wall. When he left, he only said, "They are beautiful." Just that one sentence. She picked up a slice of salmon with her chopsticks. But it was enough. In August, something happened that no one expected. Zhou Jianhua was formally placed under investigation, not because of Zhou's lawsuit, but because of financial issues uncovered in Dingsheng Real Estate's internal audit, inflated project cost, related party transactions used to transfer profits, and unclear whereabouts of special purpose funds for multiple projects. After economic crime investigators stepped in, Zhou Jianhua's assets were frozen. Zhou Yuan's Porsche was seized too. When the news reached Kingtown, Annie Zhao was chatting with people at the corner shop by the village entrance. Oh my, you remember that Zhou family girl at the New Year group gathering, right? The one waving her phone around, saying she was some fake girlfriend. We remember. So, what happened now? Her father got taken in. TSK. That is why, when you live your life, you should not always try to tear someone else down. First make sure your own house is in order. My mother forwarded me the voice message Annie Zhao had sent her. Then she added, "That Lin Zhu of yours. How is it going with her? Have you won her over yet?" I did not reply, but another message from my mother came in. "Do not play dumb with your mother. You think I cannot tell? You eat out every Saturday night. Who would believe you go alone?" I replied with 2 words, "I know." "Know what? You won her over?" I did not dare reply, because strictly speaking, I had not officially pursued her yet. We had dinner every Saturday. Sometimes Japanese food, sometimes hot pot, sometimes we walked by the river. We talked about work, about the industry, about her new projects, about my company's product launch. We rarely talked about feelings, but every time we walked, her hand would naturally brush the back of my hand. One touch, then she would pull back. It did not feel like testing me. It felt more like a habit formed during those 8 days. In Qingtown, one Saturday in September, we finished dinner as usual and walked along Shenzhen Bay. The night wind blew in from the sea, warm against us. "Zhang, I have been thinking about something lately." "What is it?" "I was wondering, during Lunar New Year, if I had not taken your job, would we still have met?" "No, right? We would not." She walked a few steps. "Then do you think spending 80,000 yuan to meet someone was worth it?" "You sound that sure?" "I know whether it was worth it." She stopped walking. She looked out at the sea. The wind tossed her hair. "I owe you an answer." "What answer?" "Last time, you asked what you are to me." I thought about it for a long time. Almost 2 months. She turned to face me. "You are not my client, not my benefactor, not my partner in a deal. Then what am I?" "You are the person who, when I was at my lowest, did not waste a single word and simply put the legal fees right in front of me. You are the one who could have pretended not to know me at the New Year group gathering, but stood up and told everyone, 'She is a good woman.'" She looked at me. "If that is called liking someone, then I like you." I did not speak. I reached out and tucked her wind-blown hair behind her ear. She did not move away. "Then, do you want to hear my answer?" "Go ahead." During Lunar New Year, I told my mom I would definitely bring a girlfriend home this year. That was a lie. But this year, I want to make it true. The sea wind kept blowing. Her hand took mine first. This time, she did not pull away. That year, during the National Day holiday, I brought Lin Zhu back to Qingtown. No contract, no 80,000 yuan, no memorized family tree. On the high-speed train, she leaned by the window, watching the scenery outside. Then she suddenly turned and said, "Last time I took this train, I was still memorizing your second paternal uncle's name. And now I even know the name of your second paternal uncle's dog. It is Wang Kai. That is my eldest paternal aunt's dog. What is your second paternal uncle's dog called again?" "Da Wang." "All right. I still need to study a little more." When we arrived at the station, my mother came alone to pick us up. When she saw Lin Zhu, she froze for a second. Then she walked over and hugged Lin Zhu. She said nothing. After the hug, she let go. Then she said to me, "Put the luggage in the trunk. Let's go." In the car, my mother glanced at Lin Zhu through the rearview mirror. "You have lost weight. The studio just opened. It has been busy." Lin Zhu smiled. "Busy or not, you still have to eat. When we get home, Mom will make you pork rib soup." "Thank you, Annie." "No need to thank me." My mother paused. "Call me Mom." Lin Zhu lowered her head. "Mom." My mother's hands tightened on the steering wheel. We arrived home. The red lanterns in the yard had been replaced with new ones. Several pots of chrysanthemums had been added by the door. When we pushed open the door, someone was sitting on the living room sofa. Lin Deming. This time, it was not a coincidence. My father had invited him. "Xiaoshu." "Dad." Lin Deming stood up. Father and daughter stood face to face. I saw the exhibition hall renderings. "Your mother saw them too. She said they were beautiful." "How is her health?" "Much better. She had a follow-up last month. All her numbers were normal. When you have time, go back and visit her." "I will." Lin Deming took a bank passbook from his pocket. 2 million yuan. The money Jianhua gave me back then. I have not touched a cent. "Take it. Dad, take it." His voice was a little hoarse. Back then, I took money I never should have taken. For 3 years, this passbook has burned in my pocket, like a piece of coal. If you do not take it, I cannot get past this. Lindsay took the passbook. She lowered her eyes to the number. Then she placed it on the coffee table. "Dad, I have accepted this money, but I will not use it." "What do you mean?" "I earn enough for myself now. Please donate this money for me. Donate it to the Architecture School Financial Aid Fund for Low-Income Students. In Lin Deming's name. Lin Deming looked at her for a long time. Then he gave a small nod. He sat back down on the sofa. He picked up his teacup. His hand was trembling. My father walked over and refilled his tea. Old Lin, have some tea. You have to stay a while today. All right. At dinner that night, 6 people sat at the table: my father, my mother, Lin Deming, my eldest paternal aunt, Lin Zhou, and me. No one mentioned that whole Lunar New Year act. No one mentioned the 80,000 yuan either. It was as if everyone had silently turned that page. My eldest paternal aunt picked up a piece of braised pork hock for Lin Zhou. Xiaoshu, eat more. After you and Yang get married, I will make fish for you at New Year. Your eldest aunt here makes excellent fish too. Thank you, eldest aunt. My mother shot my eldest aunt a glare. Who said they were getting married? You did. My eldest paternal aunt sounded perfectly justified. Last month, you told on the phone that if Yang did not marry Xiaoshu, you would go to Dingsheng and block his office entrance. My mother's face instantly turned red. Stop making things up. The whole table burst out laughing. Lin Zhou looked at me, smiling. I looked back at her. Outside the window, there were no firecrackers. It was not Lunar New Year. It was only an ordinary National Day holiday. But this table of steaming food and these real, honest laughs felt warmer than any Lunar New Year. 2 years later, at Lunar New Year, on the 29th day of the 12th lunar month, Lin Zhou and I took the high-speed train back to Qingtown. It was a 6-hour ride. She leaned by the window, holding an architecture magazine. On the cover was a photo, 3 white exhibition halls standing quietly in the middle of a green lawn. That was the first project completed by her studio, First Stroke. Last year, it won a Provincial Design Silver Award. This year, it was nominated for National Young Architect Work of the Year. The magazine was open to 1 page. There was an interview on it. The reporter asked, Miss Lin, many people say you were forgotten by the industry. A genius who returned 3 years later. What do you think of that? Lin Zhou answered, I am not a genius. I simply drew the lines I had to draw, said what needed to be said, and sued the people who deserved it. The reporter asked, then what would you most want to say to yourself 3 years ago? Lin Zhou answered, do not take that 80,000 yuan job. The reporter asked, why? Lin Zhou answered, because that man spent even more afterward. When I read that part, I nearly choked on my water. Can't you speak normally when you're being interviewed? She flipped to the next page of the magazine. No one reads normal answers. The high-speed train arrived. My mother's car was parked at the exit. Lin Deming was sitting in the passenger seat. You are back. Come on. Your grandmother is waiting for you. The car turned onto the road back to the village. Outside the window were winter fields. A thin mist drifted over the dry yellow wheat stubble. In the distance, the outline of Qingtown slowly sharpened through the fog. A 2-story house, red lanterns, and fresh paper window cutouts. Da Wang rushed out of the yard, tail wagging. I pushed open the car door. Lin Zhou got out on the other side. Da Wang ran to her first. She crouched down and patted his head. When she looked up, my mother was already standing in the doorway. There was still flour on her apron. The dumplings are ready. We were only waiting for you two. Come inside. It is freezing out here. Lin Zhou held my hand and walked toward the door. As we crossed the threshold, she suddenly paused. She looked up at the door frame above us. I followed her gaze upward. Above the door frame, my father had hung a new wooden plaque there without my noticing. 2 characters were carved on it. Homecoming. The person returns. The heart returns. Peace returns. Her hand tightened in mine for a moment. Then we stepped inside together.